The Art of Letting Things Happen, a Japanese philosophy that will change how you think. In the relentless pursuit of perfection, we often find ourselves at odds with the very nature of existence. We strive for flawlessness in our appearance, our achievements, and our surroundings, yet the universe seems to conspire against these ideals. But what if I told you that there's a profound philosophy that not only accepts imperfection but celebrates it? A way of thinking that could revolutionize how we perceive beauty, success, and even our own lives. This philosophy is known as Wabi-Sabi, a Japanese concept that has the power to transform our relationship with the world around us, and more importantly, with ourselves. At its core, Wabi-Sabi is the art of finding beauty in imperfection and profundity in earthiness, of revering authenticity above all. Consider for a moment the objects that surround you. The slightly worn edges of your favorite book, the patina on an old piece of furniture, the wrinkles that have begun to form around your eyes. In a world that often tells us these signs of age and use are undesirable, Wabi-Sabi invites us to see them as marks of character, as evidence of a life well lived. But Wabi-Sabi is more than just an aesthetic preference. It's a profound worldview that can reshape our understanding of life itself. It asks us to embrace the impermanence of all things, to find peace in the knowledge that nothing lasts forever, and to see the beauty in that very transience. Think about the cherry blossoms in Japan, revered for their fleeting beauty. Their brief blooming period is celebrated precisely because it's so short-lived. This appreciation for the ephemeral is at the heart of Wabi-Sabi. It reminds us that life itself is fleeting, and that this impermanence is what gives our experiences their poignancy and value. As we delve deeper into this philosophy, I invite you to reflect on your own life. How often have you found yourself striving for an impossible standard of perfection? How many times have you delayed happiness, thinking, "I'll be content when"? Wabi-Sabi challenges these notions, urging us to find contentment and beauty in the present moment, imperfections and all. But embracing Wabi-Sabi is not always easy. It requires a fundamental shift in perspective, a willingness to let go of our deeply ingrained notions of what constitutes beauty and worth. It asks us to see the world with new eyes, to find value in what we might have previously overlooked or dismissed. Consider the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold lacquer. Instead of hiding the cracks, kintsugi highlights them, turning the broken object into something even more beautiful than it was before. This practice embodies the essence of Wabi-Sabi, the idea that our flaws and imperfections can be sources of beauty and strength rather than weaknesses to be hidden. As we explore this philosophy further, I want you to ponder a profound question. What would your life look like if you embraced imperfection instead of fighting against it? How might your relationships change if you accepted people as they are, rather than as you wish they would be? How might your self-perception shift if you viewed your own flaws not as defects, but as unique aspects of your character? Wabi-Sabi invites us to let go of our need for control and perfection. It encourages us to surrender to the natural flow of life, to accept that change is inevitable, and that beauty can be found in the most unexpected places. This doesn't mean we should abandon all efforts for improvement or growth. Rather, it suggests that true growth comes from accepting ourselves and our circumstances as they are, while still striving to be the best versions of ourselves. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, Wabi-Sabi offers a path to peace. It reminds us that perfection is an illusion, that the pursuit of it often leads to suffering, And that true contentment comes from embracing life in all its messy, imperfect glory. As we continue our exploration of Wabi-Sabi, we'll delve deeper into its practical applications in our daily lives, examining how this ancient philosophy can help us navigate the complexities of the modern world. We'll look at how it can transform our relationships, our work, and our inner lives, offering a new perspective on what it means to live a fulfilling life. Are you ready to challenge your preconceptions about beauty, success, and happiness? Are you prepared to see the world through the lens of Wabi-Sabi, finding beauty in the imperfect, the impermanent, and the incomplete? Let's continue this journey together, exploring the profound wisdom that this Japanese philosophy has to offer. The alchemy of acceptance, transforming imperfection into beauty. In our journey through the world of Wabi-Sabi, we now turn our attention to its practical applications in our daily lives. This philosophy isn't merely an abstract concept, it's a powerful tool that can reshape our perception of the world and our place in it. Consider the way we approach our personal growth and development. In a culture obsessed with self-improvement, we often find ourselves caught in an endless cycle of striving, always reaching for the next milestone, the next achievement. But what if we applied the principles of Wabi-Sabi to our self-perception? Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing not flaws to be corrected, but a unique tapestry of experiences etched into your very being. Those wrinkles? They're not imperfections, but rather the physical manifestation of a life richly lived, of laughter shared and challenges overcome. That scar? It's not a blemish, but a reminder of your resilience, a badge of honor earned through living fully. In our relationships, Wabi-Sabi invites us to embrace the imperfections of those we love. How often do we find ourselves frustrated by the quirks and habits of our partners, friends, or family members? What if, instead of trying to change them, we recognize these traits as integral parts of who they are? By accepting others as they are, flaws and all, we open ourselves to deeper, more authentic connections. In our work lives, Wabi-Sabi challenges the notion of perfection that often leads to burnout and dissatisfaction. It encourages us to find beauty in the process, not just the end result. Consider the artist who finds joy in the act of creation, regardless of how the final piece is received. Or the craftsman who takes pride in the subtle imperfections that make each of their creations unique. But perhaps the most profound impact of Wabi-Sabi is on our relationship with time itself. In a world that seems to move ever faster, where we're constantly urged to do more, be more, achieve more, Wabi-Sabi offers a radical alternative. It invites us to slow down, to appreciate the present moment in all its imperfect glory. Think about the last time you truly savored a moment. Perhaps it was watching a sunset, the colors bleeding into each other in a way that could never be perfectly replicated. Or maybe it was sharing a meal with loved ones, the conversation flowing naturally, without agenda or expectation. These are the moments that embody Wabi-Sabi, fleeting, imperfect, and utterly beautiful. As we embrace this philosophy, we begin to see that the pursuit of perfection is not only futile but often counterproductive. It robs us of the joy found in the journey, in the small, imperfect moments that make up the tapestry of our lives. So I ask you, what would it look like to apply Wabi-Sabi to your life? How might your days change if you approach them not as problems to be solved or challenges to be overcome, but as experiences to be embraced in all their messy, imperfect beauty? How might your relationships deepen if you let go of your expectations and accepted people as they are? As we continue to explore the depths of Wabi-Sabi, remember that this is not about lowering your standards or settling for less. It's about recognizing that true beauty, true fulfillment, often lies in the spaces between our ideals and our reality. It's about finding peace in the knowledge that life in all its imperfect glory is happening right now in this very moment. The symphony of impermanence dancing with life's fleeting nature. In this third part of our exploration into Wabi-Sabi, we delve into one of its most profound aspects, the acceptance and celebration of impermanence. This concept, deeply rooted in Buddhist philosophy, challenges our innate desire for stability and permanence, inviting us instead to find beauty and meaning in the transient nature of existence. Consider the changing seasons. Each brings its own unique beauty, from the vibrant blossoms of spring to the golden hues of autumn. Yet, we know that no season lasts forever. The cherry blossoms that we admire so much are cherished precisely because their beauty is fleeting. In embracing Wabi-Sabi, we learn to appreciate these moments not in spite of their impermanence, but because of it. This perspective can radically transform how we view our own lives. We often resist change, clinging to the familiar and comfortable. But what if we approached life's transitions with the same appreciation we have for the changing seasons? What if we saw each phase of our lives, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, old age, as equally beautiful and worthy of celebration? Wabi-Sabi teaches us that everything is in a constant state of flux. Our bodies, our relationships, our circumstances, all are subject to the inexorable flow of time. Instead of resisting this reality, we can choose to dance with it. We can find joy in the process of growth and change, knowing that each moment is unique and will never come again. This acceptance of impermanence can be liberating. It frees us from the burden of trying to hold on to things that are naturally slipping away. It allows us to fully engage with the present moment, knowing that it's precious precisely because it won't last forever. Think about a time when you've been fully present in a moment. Perhaps it was during a heartfelt conversation with a friend, or while watching a breathtaking sunset. In those moments, we're not thinking about the past or worrying about the future. We're simply there, fully alive in the present. This is the essence of Wabi-Sabi, finding beauty and meaning in the here and now, knowing that it's fleeting. But embracing impermanence isn't always easy. It requires us to confront our fears of loss and change. It asks us to find comfort in uncertainty. This is where the true power of Wabi-Sabi lies. By accepting the impermanent nature of all things, we can find peace even in the midst of life's inevitable changes and challenges. Consider how this perspective might change your approach to life's difficulties. Instead of seeing challenges as permanent obstacles, you might view them as temporary states, knowing that they too shall pass. This doesn't mean we shouldn't work to overcome difficulties, but rather that we can face them with a sense of equanimity, knowing that change is the only constant. As we internalize this aspect of Wabi-Sabi, we might find ourselves living more fully, more authentically. We might take more risks, knowing that failure, like success, is temporary. We might love more deeply, understanding that each moment with our loved ones is precious and unrepeatable. So I ask you, how might your life change if you truly embrace the impermanence of all things? How would you live differently if you saw each moment as a unique, fleeting gift? What would you do? What would you say if you knew that this moment would never come again? As we continue our journey into Wabi-Sabi, let's carry with us this profound understanding of impermanence. Let's learn to see the beauty in the passing of time, in the constant ebb and flow of life. For in this acceptance, we may find a deeper, richer way of being in the world, one that embraces life in all its transient, imperfect glory. The alchemy of imperfection, transforming life's flaws into wisdom. I end this final part of our exploration of Wabi-Sabi. We delve into perhaps its most transformative aspect, the art of finding wisdom and beauty in life's imperfections. This is where the rubber meets the road, where philosophy becomes practice, and where we learn to alchemize our flaws and failures into sources of profound insight and growth. Consider for a moment your greatest failure or disappointment. Society often teaches us to hide these experiences, to see them as blemishes on our record. But what if, instead, we viewed them as our greatest teachers? Wabi-Sabi invites us to see the cracks in our lives not as flaws to be hidden, but as openings through which wisdom can enter. I think of the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. The resulting piece is often more beautiful, more valuable than the original. This is a perfect metaphor for how we can approach our own lives. Our broken parts, our failures, our heartbreaks, our losses can become the very things that make us unique, beautiful, and wise. But this transformation doesn't happen automatically. It requires a shift in perspective, a willingness to look at our imperfections with curiosity rather than judgment. It asks us to be vulnerable, to embrace our humanity in all its messy glory. When we do this, we open ourselves to profound growth and self-discovery. Consider how this might change your approach to personal development. Instead of trying to eradicate your flaws, what if you saw them as integral parts of who you are? Your impatience might be the flip side of your passion. Your sensitivity, which you may have seen as a weakness, might be the source of your empathy and creativity. This doesn't mean we shouldn't strive to improve ourselves. But it does suggest that true growth comes not from trying to achieve some idealized version of ourselves, but from fully accepting and working with who we are right now. In our relationships, this perspective can be revolutionary. When we learn to see the beauty in our own imperfections, we become more accepting of others. We realize that it's often the quirks, the rough edges, the imperfect parts of our loved ones that make them uniquely lovable. But perhaps the most profound impact of this aspect of Wabi-Sabi is on our relationship with life itself. When we embrace imperfection, we free ourselves from the exhausting pursuit of an idealized existence. We learn to find joy in the simple, the humble, the imperfect moments that make up most of our lives. Think about a time when things didn't go as planned, but something beautiful emerged from the chaos. Maybe a cancelled flight led to an unexpected adventure, or a mistake at work opened up a new opportunity. These are Wabi-Sabi moments, instances where imperfection leads to something more valuable than our original plans. As we conclude our journey into Wabi-Sabi, I invite you to reflect on this question. What if the parts of yourself in your life that you've been trying to fix or hide are actually the sources of your greatest potential? What if your flaws are actually your gifts? Embracing Wabi-Sabi doesn't mean giving up on growth or settling for less. It means recognizing that true perfection lies in embracing the totality of who we are, our strengths and our weaknesses, our successes and our failures. It means finding beauty in the everyday, wisdom in our struggles, and peace in the knowledge that we are perfectly imperfect, just as we are. As you move forward from here, carry with you the spirit of Wabi-Sabi. Let it infuse your days with a new appreciation for the imperfect, the impermanent, and the incomplete. For in doing so, you may find a deeper, richer, more authentic way of being in the world, one that embraces life in all its messy, beautiful complexity.